Welcome back, and now for part 2. But first, a word from our sponsors. I'm so excited about this book series that was written for me. It is Big Finish's biggest production to date. It's so special, wickedly funny. I cannot wait for you to listen. Every vampire thinks the rules don't apply to them.
We investigate vampires who break the rules.
Turns out even vampires have police.
We're called Office of the Night.
Katrin, my boss. If you believe the stories, she's 1,000 years old.
Magnus, darling.
Sorry.
Magnus is a youngster, barely 100. So he takes care of the information superhighway for me. The internet. He looks me, but no one tears a head off like Magnus.
And I'm Jane.
She's our servant.
I'm your human liaison, keeping the peace between you and the authorities.
We trust you. Don't we, Magnus?
Of course.
So?
Vampires, we are watching you. Feed carefully.
Or you'll be hearing from the Office of the Night.
Finished? Good. Come, Magnus. We have immortal laws to protect. And we're running low on cat litter. Polygosy, Cushingly, and Mummy's whole gang. Season 1 is available now. You can also pre-order the bundle for Season 1 and 2 now. Season 2 comes out in March. Available at bigfinish.com.
We get to being buried alive. The master is free. He says, nightmares made flesh. The master quotes what before burying Buffy? Do you know?
I can't remember.
It's the 1950 Cinderella. He says, a dream is a wish your heart makes. When Willow and Xander are chased by the knife-wielding clown, which is the terror of being injured or killed and being chased, both common nightmares and clown, as we've been talking about, Xander is the only one of the Scooby gang to confront his fear head-on when he knocks the clown out. Did you notice that? He was the only one who sort of faces it?
Yeah, he kind of got to this place of, okay, I'm not continuing this anymore. This stops here. And I think it also possibly stems from the disappointment in the clown's performance. As he said, you were a lousy clown.
That and maybe having a sugar high from all that chocolate.
Sugar can make you quite brave, yes.
There's a big one at Buffy's grave. Death. Also failure. Giles failed. Drusilla, do you want to say it?
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Giles is later forced to deal with this in Season 5 in The Gift. There's another continuity issue here. Do you know what it is, Sire Rebecca?
No, I don't.
Well, Buffy's gravestone reads 1981 to 1997. But in I, Robot You, Jane, Malcolm looks at a file where Buffy's birth year is marked as 1980, and in another shot from that same scene, it states a different year. So there's been 3 different days for Buffy's birthday. When Buffy becomes a vampire, it's another angst, becoming the very thing that you hate, becoming a monster. This is the only time Buffy ever appeared as a vampire in the series. A Buffy action figure and a Funko Pop were produced based on Vampire Buffy.
It was very cool seeing her in that makeup, in that character, and having to fight against the natural impulse.
Yes, and she almost played it with a sense of shame that was interesting, too, because she let it happen. She let her nightmare happen, and that's the emotion that's really permeated for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all mayhem at the hospital. The surgeon's hands are unusable. Then we've got bees. Fear of insects is a common one. It's like the spider phobia, but spiders are not actually insects. When I was human, Angelus made my life a waking nightmare. Yes, I know that, Drew, and I'm sorry. He showed me the depths of the dark abyss. I'm really sorry you went through that. But now, I am the nightmare. You don't want to meet me in a darkened alley. You don't want to meet me on a solemn street. Wait. No, Drew, I don't like it when you get that look. Maybe you should go to your lair for a bit. Or I could kill you and Sire Rebecca, and then go to my lair. That kinda defeats the purpose of why I think you should go. I promise to be a good little kitten, and only glower. Meow. You promise? Cross my heart and hope to die. Oh, I've already done that bit. But you do promise? Yes, 'cause I don't see the point of giving show notes to corpses. Not exactly feeling encouraged. You can move on. I've given my word. Your word and your glower. Back to nightmares. When Billy wakes up and says, I had the strangest dream and you were in it, and do you know what that reference is?
I believe it's Midsummer Night's Dream.
It's actually Wizard of Oz.
Oh, God, yes.
Because it's Dorothy, her first line after returning from Oz and waking up in Kansas.
Oh, yes.
Billy was portrayed as an evil spirit child entity at the beginning, but that trope is subverted when we find out what's really going on. Nightmares is deep, like Teacher's Pet, like iRobot, where adults prey on children. Humans can be the worst monsters, the thing to fear the most. We learn that the coach abused Billy. Billy takes this trauma out on himself, but his subconscious knows the coach was monstrous. I love this analogy because the trauma and the toxicity belongs to the perpetrator. You can't hide or deny it. If you do, it gets worse. And Billy has to slay those demons. He has to fight for what has been placed on him. He has to reject it. He has to become a warrior, a survivor, no longer the victim. At the end, Xander says he's surprised it was not one of the parents. He brings up parental pressure, which was explored in Witch. There's some interesting psychological history about this topic. On July 24th, 1895, Freud had a dream that formed the basis of his theory on dreams and nightmares. He had been worried about a patient, Irma, who was not doing well in treatment. Freud proposed dreams provide psychological insight into the unconscious desires and conflicts. He said that dreams represent wish fulfillment, the unconscious desires, thoughts, and motivations which our conscious mind represses. He distinguished between the manifest content of a dream, what we remember upon waking, and the latent content, the hidden psychological meaning. I think Freud's belief was that nightmares were dreams with a sexual content whose libido turned to anxiety. With Freud, a lot was about sex and death. I think he may have been onto something. Carl Jung also believed that nightmares were a way for the unconscious mind to communicate with the conscious mind and could reveal suppressed parts of ourselves. The work Sandra Seacat did, which I talked about in part 1, was based on this. I've got some Shakespeare that is relevant. Oh, good. My troublous dreams this night doth make me joyous. King Lear. The line is actually, my troublesome dream this night doth make me sad. A dream itself is but a shadow. A nightmare is but a reverie. Hamlet. The line is, a dream itself is but a shadow. I dreamt last night of 3 totally normal sisters. They have visions. Macbeth. That's a big change. It's, I dreamt last night of the 3 weird sisters. To you, they showed some truth. I dreamt last night Minnie and Juliet kept ruining the show. if she carries on, she'll have to go. All right. I have a good one from Oscar Wilde. I wish you weren't so well read. It gums up the works. Oscar Wilde's quote is, wrecks the entertainment value. He wrote, messes up the timing. Timing. Yes, timing is everything. The quote is, they've promised that dreams can come true, but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams too. I've got an exceptional one. And it's word perfect. Finally, squishy brains and gooey entrails make my heart go all aflutter. With deep breaths I slowly mutter, brains and entrails must uncoil. If not now, they soon will spoil. That's my poem for this week. When you've got it, you've got it. Yes, Drusilla, you certainly got it. Oh, I don't know what, but you got it. So, Rebecca, in terms of the relatable theme, do you have a dream or a nightmare to share?
I have a recurring dream or series of dreams that I am always fighting against vampires or zombies and trying to protect my family. And no matter how much I fortify the house and bar up the doors and the windows, there's always a time when I turn around and I realize that one of my brothers in particular goes outside and just sort of looks up in complete ignorance of what's happening, even though I've explained it to everybody. And so now I have to go outside and rescue him. And always I'm the one that actually gets beaten or bitten. And he's fine. I get him in the house, he's fine. And then I usually wake up right after that.
Intense.
So I know for me, my family is extremely important and I am constantly wanting to protect them and you can't always protect them. So that is something I continue to struggle with, not just in my waking life, but also in my dreams.
Interesting. It's almost like your subconscious battling with itself a little bit and wanting to take care and then actually overstepping the mark by doing that and having something bad happen to you.
Yeah, I think there's a big lesson in there. So I try to repeat to myself that it's important to let people live their lives, make their decisions, their mistakes, and you can't interfere because you're robbing them of that growth and experience. I don't always follow that, but it's a very nice sentiment that I'm trying to stick to.
And your subconscious is trying to tell you that too.
Yeah.
That's wild, though, that it's zombies or vampires. It's very much in the Buffy universe.
Yes.
The vampire part. Tim Burton said to me, I was never scared by monster movies. I found real life much more scary. I feel that way. For those of us who were raised with the messaging that we could not achieve things or were not allowed to be successful, the demons, that darkness, those limiting thoughts that were planted are the most nightmarish thing to combat. I think Buffy resonates because she's such a strong character. She's a warrior. Each of us can be a warrior in our own lives. You know the adage, fake it till you make it, or act as if, or lobby for yourself as if you were doing it for a friend because you're more comfortable doing it for other people. I call that contrary action because it's different behavior. It's different than your conditioned behavior. And it's hard at first, but then it becomes so exciting to push and stretch oneself beyond the nightmares that were imposed on us. Buffy is a great example of being one's authentic self, being a warrior, and fighting for the light. I have this recurring nightmare. This figure taunts me. Tall, willowy, mysterious. She plagues me. She's relentless. She's the darkest of the dark. She's awful. She's you, minion Juliet. What? Yes, it's true. You have to admit, You are very annoying. You don't behave at all like a minion should. Because I'm not a minion. What did I say? Nightmare. All right, so what is the line from this episode that you would get as a tattoo, Sire Rebecca?
Well, the line that really gave me a chuckle is when Giles says,
Willow, do shut up.
Mine is Giles, too. Mine is when Giles says,
Dreams? That would be a musical comedy version of this.
Drew, do you want to say it? Spoiler alert. Yep. That's what happens in season 6's Once More with Feeling. This episode and Once More with Feeling contain specific references to each other. Not only is there this line from Giles, but in Once More with Feeling, Willow sings, I've got a theory some kid is dreaming and we're all stuck inside his wacky Broadway nightmare, which refers to the plot of Nightmares, but it's the musical version, the dream version. Another one that I like is when Willow says about the spiders.
What do they need all those legs for anyway?
That definitely resonated with me, with my spider not fondness. What about you, Drew? Spider, clown, bashing Buffy. That's not strictly dialogue, but at least this time you're in the realm of the episode. That's your problem. No vision and no timing. Maybe if someone didn't keep interrupting, who? The flow with what flow? Non sequiturs? It's non, all right. Nonsense. Drew, shh.
Enough of something extremely different.
Different.
So after COVID lockdown, the first job that I was on was a movie called The Sixth Reel. And they were still figuring out how to be on set safely. And that really went into things like food. So there weren't snacks just out. You had to ask for something specifically, and everything was prepackaged in its separate containers. So they were really focused on safety and like no cross-contamination. And we had this caterer who was very inventive with her dishes. On any show, if the catering isn't good, at least you know you can always get food from craft services, and they're open throughout the day, and it's snacks. You can make sandwiches usually, and it can save you when the hot food during catering is questionable sometimes. This particular caterer had gotten containers for the food, but with no separations in them.
Oh.
She had a fondness of cabbage that I will never understand. But almost every day you would get not just cabbage, but like sweet and sour cabbage.
Oh.
So your meal would already be packaged up, and she wouldn't let you change. Like if you wanted the vegetarian option, and just for safety's sake, she would shut you down. No, this is what you're having. You're not a vegetarian. This is what you're eating.
Oh.
And oftentimes the meat was overcooked and dried. The starch was undercooked. And then with this hefty side of sweet and sour cabbage mixed in. The point that I couldn't get across was a day that she said it was lasagna.
Not with cabbage.
Oh, yeah, with cabbage. And it was lasagna in the summer. So I opened it up, and it wasn't layered like a lasagna should be. It was one sheet of pasta with sauce, and then this big side of sweet and sour cabbage kind of all mixing together. So I noticed out in the parking lot, people were ordering food or just like staying in their cars in the heat rather than sit in catering. So I joined them and started to try to avoid eating anything that she had made. Nice woman, just really missed the mark with the cooking.
The cabbage revolt.
Yes.
How long was the shoot?
We were about 2 months.
Oh, no. That's a lot of cabbage.
That is. That really is.
And sweet and sour doesn't go with everything. Very much not Italian lasagna.
It doesn't go with most things. And there was one day I put it on top of the meat, hoping that if I left it there long enough, it would soften the meat up. And no, that didn't happen.
You were trying to find a use for it.
Again, a nice woman, but yeah, the food was hard. Very, very, very hard.
Did you ever see her eat her own food?
I did not.
Maybe that never happened.
But there were a couple times they brought that, as a gift, they would bring food for us from someplace else. And I felt bad because you could see everybody running towards anything else to eat. And she's just standing there with these like containers piled up around her waiting for somebody to take them.
Oh my gosh. Back in the day, Dev was a photography assistant to the famous photographer Matthew Ralston. One of the shoots they did was Michelle Pfeiffer for Vanity Fair. They were working really long hours and finally brought some food in. There was one large platter labeled vegan, so Dev was really, really happy. They were still working, so he peeled back the tinfoil to grab some food before the break. It was Indian, so there were samosas, rice, vegetable curry, mango chutney, on and on. He ate a little bit and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so gourmet. So he went back to work and he kept coming back intermittently, eating more and more and more. And he was thinking, oh, it's so nice that they got this vegan food for me. I really hope it wasn't supposed to be for anyone else on the crew because he kept eating it in these small increments in between working. He'd go, he'd come back, he'd go, he'd come back, until it was completely gone. Not one morsel left, not a crumb. They then call the lunch break. All of a sudden, the AD yells, "Who ate Michelle's vegan platter?" There is complete silence. And then again, "Who ate Michelle's vegan platter?" Dev was horrified. He had no idea it was Michelle Pfeiffer's food, but he was too afraid to say anything. So he just looked around at everyone else like, how could you? Who would do this? Oh
That's
my
the only
God.
thing you can do.
So, Michelle, if you're listening, the mystery of your delectable Indian food at the Vanity Fair shoot has been solved, and Dev is really, really sorry. He did not know it was your food.
But at least it was very good.
Yes, it was very gourmet. I eat a lot on Buffy. The stunt guys would say, "She eats like a giant. Look at her go." Minion Juliet doesn't want me to bring anyone to eat on set. I don't do my best work when I'm hungry. Oh, was that your stomach growling earlier? Timing. We'll work on it. So, Sire Rebecca, do you want to give us the vampire question?
Yes. In the lore of vampires, there are many powers that they are said to possess: invisibility, shape-shifting, mind control, power over creatures and weather. Which one would you most like to have?
Ooh, I think mind control, even though nefarious, would be advantageous. It would be great to have everyone behave how you want them to. What about you?
I'd probably go with shape-shifting. Just the idea of if you didn't want to be recognized, or maybe turning into a cat or a dog so that you could observe something. I think that would kind of be fun. Get a lot of information that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Go under the radar. I would like a human power. I haven't walked in the sun since 1880. That would be lovely. Oh, I also caught Bram Stoker's Dracula on the telly the other day. I'd like to crawl up the walls like Gary Oldman did. That was really cool. It's funny that you say that, Drew. Gary told me that he loved playing Dracula because he could crawl up walls, swing from chandeliers, that kind of thing was Dracula's regular Saturday night. Is it funny, though? Yes, we'll work on it. Revamptees, please correspond with me on social media. Share a nightmare or a dream that you have had. My handles are Twitter @Juliet Landau, on Instagram @Juliet_Landau, and on Facebook, Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. Well, it is always so much fun to hang with you, Sire Rebecca. This has been a blast.
And with you. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine at work the other day, and she was saying how much Buffy meant to her growing up, not just for fashion, but she found it incredibly empowering. So just wanted to share her appreciation for you.
Oh, that is amazing. What's her name? We can do a shout out.
Gabby.
Gabby. Yay,
Gabby.
Hi, Gabby.
The missing scene that could have been in this week's episode.
Buffy, I am so happy you came into therapy today. It is really important that we use our nightmares as a tool for figuring out what the subconscious is trying to tell us. Feel free to share anything here. It is a safe space. Oh, help! Help!
Oh my god, your teeth. It's okay, Dr. Ruth. We'll just... door. Won't budge.
Don't let me drown! Scream!
Oh, no. Can't run. Can't move.
Buffy, are you okay? Where did your mind just go? I was asking you some simple questions. 1. What do you find most arousing about this older boy, Angel? 2. Do you use a vibrator? And if so, are you sexually satisfied? 3. Describe your most recent sexual fantasy. 1, 2, 3. As I said, this is a safe space.
What do you know? It looks like we're out of time for today. Oh boy. Now that was a nightmare.
We will see you next week when we'll do it again. Do it again. Until next time, rewatch, revamp, reinvent, and be remarkable you.